What is up, ladies and gents? You know what time of day it is. It's Zebec time, and in today's video we're going to be talking all about Zebec. We're going to be discussing what we are seeing here on the charts, and I'll be giving you guys my price prediction for Zebec over the coming days, as well as my price targets for 2025. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. Of course, if you are a new viewer, then welcome to this channel. If you do like this sort of content, hit that like button and subscribe for more. If you are a returning viewer, as always, welcome back to this channel. It's great to have you all here. So we're going to be diving straight into this video, and we're first going to be talking about what we are seeing here on the charts in the shorter term, so over the past several days. And of course, if you've been a Zebec holder, you will know exactly what has happened, because you've probably seen your portfolio gone up quite a bit. Of course, we've seen this gorgeous pump occur here on Zebec, giving us a really good start to the month of May so far. Of course, since the start of this month, we've seen basically a nearly 2x pump here on Zebec. Part of the reason we've seen this pump is probably because we've seen this news come out from Zebec. Of course, on May the 1st, we learned that Zebec is a certified member of the Circle Alliance program. And of course, Circle was one of their earliest backers, but we also learned from this tweet that Circle holds a significant amount of Zebec. And that's interesting, because every time we see Circle partner with a cryptocurrency, they generally tend to buy up quite a lot of their token. So essentially, this partnership can be seen as very, very bullish here for Zebec. It's been one of the most viewed tweets here for Zebec. It's also been one of the most liked tweets here for Zebec. And that is probably why we've seen this pump throughout the month of May. And so the question for us now becomes, where do we think the price is going to go to in the shorter term? And so right now on the 1 hour chart, what we are potentially seeing here on Zebec after this gorgeous pump that we've seen is this shorter term consolidation. This is the first thing that I noticed. Of course, we've seen these large green bars taking the prices much higher, and now we've kind of seen the prices stall for today here on Zebec. Of course, we are hovering at the 1.8 cents region at the moment, and this honestly, guys, is to be expected. It's a Sunday at the end of the day, and generally speaking, the crypto markets are a little bit quieter. You can see on the right, for example, that most cryptos have barely moved for the day. XCN, for example, just down minus 0.8%. Swiftcoin up 0.03%. So you can kind of see that cryptos barely move on a weekend, and so therefore we don't expect anything big. Of course, right now what I am seeing is this consolidation, and for the next few hours I do expect something like this to occur here on Zebec. But going into Monday, where we start to see more volatility enter the markets, we should see a breakout from this little mini triangle. Of course, what we've seen preceding it is this sort of parabolic move going into it in the first place. So if we do break out to the upside, which I do think is more likely here on Zebec, then we could potentially see this as the shorter term price target here on Zebec, another 30% pump if we break out to the upside. Of course, this short term price action that we can see here could be regarded as some sort of pennant type pattern, because what preceded it was this parabolic move. So in the short term, I'm looking at this consolidation, and I'm monitoring this upper resistance line here for any such breakout, because if we see a breakout, we could see a 30% increase in price that could take the prices here to Zebec to 0.23 cents. But honestly, if this happens, this is just the beginning of the good news that I have for you guys, because on top of that as well, if we just zoom out a little bit here on Zebec, let's go on the 1 day chart. We've been monitoring several resistances here. If you followed my channel in the past, you might have seen this resistance line which connected the two highs here. This is basically when I first noticed it in February. We had this resistance here. We had this test of the resistance here back at the all-time high in 2024. And in February 25, the prices literally came up to this resistance once again and got rejected from it. So this was going to be a very important resistance. And what's unbelievable to me is that prices here on Zebec have basically pumped. Let me just zoom in a little bit. You can see that they've pumped exactly to this upper resistance line, and they've got rejected once again at this level. And honestly, guys, for me, this is basically the best case scenario, because I really wanted the price to kind of react to this resistance level up here. If the prices just kind of disrespected it, they did something like this, for example, where it wasn't really used as a resistance, then it will kind of give me less hope for this huge price pattern here on Zebec. But now we've seen this upper resistance well respected, we could be genuinely looking at this ultra longer term triangle. And essentially, if the prices in the shorter term break out of that small pennant pattern that I showed you, it could also trigger off this much larger triangle pattern. And essentially, that would give us a price target here on Zebec if we break out to the upside of that resistance over the coming days. The price target here on Zebec would be nearly 1 cent as a result of that breakout. And as always, guys, if you're looking for a great place to buy or trade this breakout here on Zebec, then look no further than the MEX exchange. This is the exchange that I use for all my trading because they have some of the lowest trading fees. They don't require KYC to get started, and for a limited time only, they're giving every new user who signs up using the link in the description down below a free $20 to get started. So if you want to make use of this offer, sign up using that link in the description. It takes less than a minute to do so. Don't forget to deposit some fiat or cryptocurrency into your MEX account, and then they'll give you that $20 straight away. So you can trade any such breakout here on Zebec, for example. Of course, thank you guys so much for supporting this channel. Let's get back into this video. So, and that, guys, is why I suggested that was the best case scenario here for Zebec to get rejected at this upper resistance line, because now what we have is 3 perfect tests of this upper resistance line on 3 separate occasions. And so essentially, guys, if we see a breakout to the upside here on Zebec with, of course, increase in trading volume, of course, for a successful breakout, we need to see something like this on the trading volume, where we see a spike in trading volume. Then we could genuinely see the motive for Zebec over the coming weeks and months to be this upper price target here towards the 1 cent region. And what's fascinating, even more fascinating about that as well, is if I get the fib levels from the very low there to the very high that we saw, the previous all-time high here on Zebec, have a look at how well that 1.618 fib there, the golden fib ratio, what I regard as the most important fib level, lines up with the price target from a breakout of that triangle. Essentially, the price target from this long-term triangle that we could be seeing here on Zebec lines up with this 1.618 fib. So that gives me even more conviction here that we could be seeing this price target hit on Zebec over the coming weeks and months. And so Zebec is looking absolutely incredible in my opinion. The chart right now is looking really bullish, not just for the shorter term, but for the longer term as well. And the 2025 target, just based on this chart, in my opinion, is going to be that 1 cent region. But of course, like some of you have said down in the comments, 1 cent is not even that much here for Zebec. And I personally do agree, because that puts the market cap of Zebec at $700 million if we get to that 1 cent region. Now, of course, that might sound like a lot, but just going off what we saw last bull run, when the narrative was a little bit different. Of course, if you were around in the 2021 bull run, the kind of categories that did really well were around gaming and NFTs. And so we saw these really small cap cryptos within those niches get to several billion-dollar market caps at the height of the 2021 bull run. Now, of course, in 2025, the narrative is a little bit different. Of course, we've seen the payment infrastructure cryptos like Zebec here really outperforming this bull run. So if the payments infrastructure category here of crypto continues to dominate, which I think it will, we should be able to see Zebec at least get to several billion-dollar market cap at the height of the 2025 bull run, which should put Zebec at a price target of roughly 3 to 4 cents at the height of 2025. So I think a decent conservative estimate for the high, for the top here in 2025 to be roughly 3 cents here on Zebec. Of course, I would put it at roughly a $2 billion market cap, which I think is very attainable for this project. Of course, when you look through their website, when you look at all the stuff they are cooking, it's hard not to be bullish here on Zebec. And I think the more awareness this token gets, the more the prices are really going to appreciate. And I do think 3 cents is going to be a realistic target here for 2025. Of course, it would help a lot if we see the rest of the market doing really well as well. For example, Bitcoin reaching new all-time highs. We need to see a true altcoin season come around. At the moment, we are at 26 out of 100 on this altcoin season meter here on CoinMarketCap. We need to see this above 75 for coins like Zebec to really flourish. And we need to see this fear and greed index value at extreme greed at a value of above 80. Right now, again, we are at 53, so it's not bad. But for us to get the best possible chance of getting to 3 cents, this is what we need to see from those gauges there. So those are kind of my thoughts right now on Zebec. I've given you my shorter term and longer term price targets. And of course, it goes without saying that I am extremely bullish here for Zebec because of this longer term pattern that we could potentially be seeing now, this long term triangle that gives us the motive to get to that 1 cent region. Of course, as we approach those levels, I will be keeping you up to date. So if we see even more bullish patterns with even higher price targets, I will be sure to mention those as well. But for now, guys, that's a wrap for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Do let me know down in the comments if you are holding Zebec. If you are holding Zebec, when did you first become a holder? Did you learn about Zebec just a few weeks ago, or have you been a holder for much longer? Do let me know down in the comments. I always love hearing from you guys. Otherwise, have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you in my next video.